Hi, I'm Krista Johnson. This is my horse Louie. We're going to go through what I call the hindquarter forequarter exercise on the ground. It's a really great exercise to help your horse separate their hind end from their front end. It's a really good exercise to improve their turns. And it's a really good exercise to use if they get kind of emotional and get kind of hyped up. I feel like this exercise really can help them calm their emotions down and get them thinking about what you're doing versus just kind of lunging them around in mindless circles. But we'll get started. I'm just going to use my flag for this exercise today. You could use a training stick and string too, or a whip, whatever you have. I'm just going to use this because it makes it a little easier to not have the string dragging. But I'm going to start by having him parked here. If you've not seen my boundaries for groundwork and riding communication video, it goes into further detail about some of these things, but I'm going to go ahead and send him out to the right. That was a really, really bad turn, so I'm going to have him do that again. I actually want him to do a turn on the haunches here and swing those shoulders over to his left and get out of my space. There is better. See how much more he got out of my space that time? That's going to be really important when we go to do these turns because that's going to be the second half of the turn that we're going to do here. But we're going to start by getting him to go forward. I've just got a 12-foot rope here and we've got roughly 4 feet between us here. That forward motion is really important to help your turns in the beginning, through the turn, and exiting the turn. I'm going to start by switching my hands. I'm going to take the flag handle, go right over my rope. As soon as we can see in the camera here, that's where I'm going to switch these hands. I'm going to shorten the rope. I'm going to use both hands to do that. Slow my feet down. That changes my balance from where my belly button was out in front of his nose to where I'm now walking forward towards his flank. So here's the hindquarter yield part of it. I want him yielding his hindquarters around a bigger circle than his forequarters, but I don't want him to lock up his forequarters. I'm going to slow down, let him shift his weight back, and then send him the other way. But here again, like when I initially sent him out, I want him to swing those shoulders over. I'm going to feed him the rope back, and then we're going to go forward on a circle. And that's usually how I'll change directions on training circles too. But I can use it as an exercise going back and forth. I'll show you in slow motion again one more time. We're going forward. I'm in the saddle. My belly button's out in front of his nose. I'm going to switch my flag handle over the rope. Once Louie passes the camera here, I'll show you how I switch my hands. And now I've got my rope in my right hand. I'm going to slow my feet down. If he continues going forward, that puts my weight to where I can push his flank away here. If I need to put a little feel on the rope to talk to that right hind foot to step it over, I can. When he got kind of sticky there, I just encouraged him to go forward like that. So I want to see this nice, good, relaxed hindquarter yield. Then I'm going to lift that hand, slow my feet down, send them the other way. But I want him to yield his shoulders over and out of my way. Now we're going to do it sped up. So it's harder to see and it's harder for him to actually get it right when we're doing it in slow motion. So I'm going to speed it up now. I'm going to take that momentum. As soon as he shifts that weight back, I'm going to drive that front end over. He wasn't quite ready for me to give him that much of a push, so he kind of fumbled through it there, but now that he knows, we'll see if we can get it better going this way where he's a little bit more prepared. I'm going to raise my hand towards his croup. I'm going to walk a straight line, push that front end over. Nice, Louie. Feed that rope back out. So if I have an emotional horse that's all worked up, maybe they're spooking or it's whatever reason their emotions are elevated, I'll do this back and forth, back and forth. It won't be an equality kind of yield until their emotions come down. But yielding those hindquarters a lot really helps them when they're emotional. And even if they're not emotional, this is really going to help your turns. It's really going to help isolate them yielding the back end and then isolate yielding the front end. So here I'm using my indirect rein to talk to the hind feet. direct rein to talk to the front feet. And it's always important to push that turn. I got my rope tangled up there. You always want to push a turn. You never want to pull. And that'll be the biggest mistake that I see people make when they send their horse out on a circle and while doing this exercise. For some reason, us humans as predators always want to pull. Here I'm pushing my turn. I'm going to lift. I'm going to push his nose towards his tail. I'm going to see if I can do it wrong. It'll probably throw him off. I'll apologize to him. I'm sorry, Louie. If your horse isn't used to using a flag, maybe don't start with this tool. He's plenty used to it. But I'm going to show you where most people make the mistake while learning this. So we get our hindquarter yield going, driving the back end away. And then instead of pushing that turn, they do this. See how he couldn't make that turn on the haunches? It just pulled his front end in my space and dumped all his weight on his front end versus elevating the shoulders. So the key is to keep your elbow in front of your person. As soon as our elbow goes out here or out here, that's when we're pulling. And if you do this just standing here, not even doing anything, sorry Louie, he thinks I'm talking to him. Back up just a little bit so the camera can see. Good boy. Even if you hold your arm like this, not doing anything, you can feel that weight shift and see how that changes the angle of my rope. I have it dragging in there in the ground so he doesn't think I'm talking to him because he's really light on the rope. Which is your end goal with your horses. They don't always start out there, but we always want them light operating off of a feel because that does relate to your rein when you ride. So here when I go to send them out on a circle, again, I want to have my elbow in front of me, not out here. I'll go back and show it correctly. There we go. He's a little less athletic, yielding his shoulders to the left. If I can talk. So we've got our forward movement. I'm going to switch my hands. I'm still walking forward. When I slide my hand down that rein to shorten it, that's when I'm going to slow my feet down. When he goes forward, that changes my balance here. And I'm going to slowly slow my feet down, lift that rein, let him balance on his back feet, push the front end over. Let the rope slide, and let him go back out on the circle. When I go to stop him, I'm going to use that same hindquarter yield. I'm just going to slow my feet down and lift more. Ideally, he'd square up to me, but he kind of missed it there. I could have given him a little bit more direction, but that's good right there. But that is a really, really great exercise. If you've not done it before, make sure you get all the bits and pieces together. Don't try to get everything right at the same time. Go back and watch my 2 videos on how to send a horse out on a training circle, because that's the second part of this turn, and then how to stop them on a training circle, because that's kind of the first part, and then you'll put it all together. But work on a little bit at a time, improve everything at a little bit of a time, and then you'll get that flow going together, and it'll be a nice little warm-up tool. Thanks for joining us.